Hey guys, Sensei DePalma here. Here with Dylan. We're putting a little ground stuff out there for you guys, some basics, some things that I think you can really use today, which is my goal is to give you some very applicable techniques on the ground that are going to give you the opportunity to put them to use right away. I think a lot of times what happens is we start forgetting the cultivating process, and what I mean by that is, you plant a seed in the ground and then you're like, okay, come on, harvest, harvest, harvest. And the comparison I make there is a lot of times guys come in for the first time and they're like, I want to learn a triangle, I want to learn an arm bar, and they forget that without getting their opponent under authority in a good position, those moves don't work. No one's just going to let you reach in and pop them into a triangle choke. You've got to earn it. You've got to cultivate that area. You've got to nurture it. And by making that happen, you're going to get some good finishing and some good submissions, and also get your opponent to wear himself out. So the last one that we shot earlier, we did some stuff in guard. We're going to move into side mount now. And what really makes it relevant having Dylan here for side mount is Dylan also has a wrestling background. And it proved to be really effective when we went to Naga and did some other tournaments. I think our first 6 matches out of the gate, Dylan went 6-0 and used a lot of wrestling combined with his jiu-jitsu in order to get that success. So we've got some really strong wrestlers in here. My family also has a pretty strong wrestling background, and so this is really going to help you guys be able to work your side mount game. So I'm going to give you 2 positions, and then we're going to finish with a submission down from side mount. So I'm going to have Dylan take his back. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to teach you how to control your opponent when he's trying to bridge to escape, and I'm going to teach you how to control your opponent when he's trying to use the shin or knee across the belly for a hip escape. So I'm down and I'm in here nice and tight, and I've got him nice and sealed. Okay, so very similar to our guard position. I want to keep the side of my head in. I want my left knee, which is here, to be even with his ear. A lot of times I see guys angled in here for side mount. He barely has to do any work to get his knee inside my hip. See, he's already in there, which we don't want to have happen. So we want to come in nice and tall. We want to really squeeze him here and keep that knee nice and tight to his side. So every time I feel him snake out, right, I just want to replace it nice and tight. Okay. Also, and you guys will start to see this more in our series, I love to use the underhook over here. The underhook's a great thing. So keeping this nice and sealed and tight is going to really help. So something I want to explain really fast too is, what is the proper time for me to try to take mount or to put a submission on him from here? It's the same as the work that we did in guard. When he's rowdy and bridging and trying to get an underhook and trying to get out all the time, that's not the time for me to try to submit him or to advance positions. That's the time for me to frustrate him, to wear him out, to keep him nice and sealed, nice and tight, wait to get him under authority. What I mean by under authority is when you start to feel that fight come out of him and he realizes, I'm not getting out of this side mount, that's your time to advance. So we're going to base what we're doing right now off of that, okay? So I'm under his head, I've got control, right? Whether I'm using a cable grip or palm to palm or a monkey grip, either way, I want to have him nice and tight, okay? So as he starts to move and get himself out, you see how I'm able to just sit in here and control this, right? He's going to try to bridge, right? Bam, I can hold that bridge nice and tight. I can keep good control, okay? So that's a lot that we want to do. Where we start to get in danger is when he starts to push himself away and go after the hip escape, okay? So now he's coming in for the hip escape, right? We can go to scarf or judo side mount, we can do some other things, but what I'm going to show today is just a simple hand switch that has been so effective for us in controlling the side mount. So here he comes again under my neck, he starts to get the hip escape in. I'm just going to switch my elbow here and check his leg. Okay, I'm going to put my arm right here and control this leg. Notice also that I straighten this left leg out. The reason that I did that is because a lot of times when we switch to this position, the guy will try to do a back roll over your shoulder, and if you're up here on your knees, he might get some good position to bring these legs up and try to come back into you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to straighten this leg out and check it. Now watch him try to do that hip escape, right? It's not even possible. I can just take control of him the whole time. Now if he goes back to bridging though, right, what am I going to do? I'm going to switch back to my other grip. Nice and tight, okay? So wherever we're moving to, I'm going to continue to switch that grip, which means that I can take great control. So again, recap, do I want to try to take mount on him or submit him while he's moving aggressively? No. It's not my job to do that then. My job to do that then is to get him under control, to get him under authority. So I'm underneath his body, my hands are together, I'm taking some really strong control, and as he tries to bridge an underhook on me, right, I'm gonna keep that seal down so that he can't get any space. Now he starts to hip escape, right, boom, I switch my elbow here, straighten out this leg, and I check this leg so that I have control. I've got a north-south choke starting to brew up here. I've got an arm bar if I come up over here on the head. I've got all kinds of things starting to work from using that control. Okay, guys, so really important to remember that. Finally, let's set up a submission from side mount control. So if we're going with position number 1, and my hands are under here, and he's trying to bridge on me, right? See his arm pushing on my throat, which is really common. A lot of guys would say go for the arm triangle on there, but Dylan's using a really good strategy. He's not investing his elbow into this, where then I can come in for the arm triangle, right? He's just using a little wrist in here. He's never gonna let me get any power going in that. So what I wanna do is I wanna lean in, I'm gonna straighten out my right leg, and I'm gonna feed my wrist, his wrist to my hand. Okay, you see how that wrist has got control? You can do the monkey grip. We don't need our thumb because the mat is underneath. And I'm gonna start to set the Americana, or figure 4, here. I'm not gonna get him. He's not a real big guy, so his shoulders are not gonna be tight. But what I can do now is unloop it, and then I've got control of that arm, right? So let me show that one more time. Okay, so I'm underneath. He's trying to use his hand to bridge on me. I wanna get some weight on that arm, so I'm gonna straighten that leg out and take control of this wrist. I start to set the Americana, and right after I do, I unloop his elbow, and there's the finisher. Guys, really important on this to remember, a lot of people say, oh, he's never gonna give you his arm. I don't try to take his arm. I don't try to take it at all. What I do is I look at what he's doing with his arm in order to decide, am I gonna be able to finish him with the lock or not? So what I mean is, if he starts to put his arm down and I don't have it, I'm not gonna try to take it and keep feeding it up there. I'll switch what I'm doing. I can bring my arm back here and come in this direction, right? And start to, right? So I can come in and go for Kimura there, or different type of movement. So it's important to remember, once I'm under his head here, the control on his wrist is disguised. He can't see what this hand's doing. So for him to start bridging and for me to just get some pressure down on there and control it is gonna be really good. He might try to straighten it now, and if he does, it helps me bring my arm over, and now I can move into the arm bar or the Kimura. So, quick recap, wrestler side mount, nice and tight, right? He tries to bridge, I can control that all day long. If he's feeding me that forearm, right, I might wanna straighten it out and put on the Americana, bam. Or, if he tries to hip escape, I'm gonna switch my grip and check that leg, right? And keep control of it in this position, which is keeping his leg out, and starts to open up a whole bunch of submissions from that area. Hope that helps, guys.